Okay, so you're throwing a hot tub party and want to make it epic. Right. We're diving into this Bishay fact sheet. They're like, the hot tub gurus to help you out. They got all the tips on safety, keeping things clean, even setting the vibe. You'll be a hot tub party pro in no time.
It's interesting. BHTR really hits on safety right away. It's easy to get caught up in the party mood, but they really stress making sure everyone's safe and having a good time. And that's what being a good host is all about, isn't it?
For sure, you want people remembering the fun, not like a trip to the emergency room. One thing that stood out to me was how much they emphasized the number of people in the hot tub at once. Why is that so important? Like, more the merrier, right?
You'd think so, but it really affects the water quality. Think about it. Each person brings a bit of, themselves into the water, right? Oils, lotions, even little bits of dirt.
Okay, that makes sense. So more people equals more stuff in the water. How does that affect things, though?
It messes with the water chemistry. The balance is really delicate. You know how important pH balance is, right? It measures how acidic or basic the water is. Too many people can make it more acidic, and that actually makes your sanitizer less effective.
And the sanitizer's what's keeping the water clean and safe for everyone, right? So not good if it's not working right.
Exactly. It's like using hand sanitizer without washing your hands first. It's just not going to cut it. That's why BIHTA recommends limiting it to one person per seat or taking turns, especially if you have a smaller hot tub.
And I noticed they mentioned checking the water after each turn, too. What's the best way to go about that?
A quick glance is a good start. Is the water still clear? Any weird smells? Then definitely use those test strips to check the pH and sanitizer levels. It just takes a minute, but it makes a huge difference in keeping things clean and safe for everyone.
So we're not just talking comfort here, it's about health, too.
Exactly. And while we're talking about things that might not seem like a big deal but can actually be dangerous, let's talk about jumping and diving. I know it's tempting, but Bischel's really against it.
Yeah, I'll admit, I've done my fair share of hot tub cannonballs, but I'm guessing there's a good reason that's a no-no.
There is. Hot tubs, unlike pools, aren't made for that kind of impact. They have those molded seats and all that plumbing inside, and a hard landing can damage them. Not to mention, there's always a chance of slipping and hitting your head. Just not worth the risk.
Okay, so no cannonballs.
Yeah.
What about things like floaties or those inflatable toys? That seem pretty harmless.
They can be fun, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Pitch's Chels suggests avoiding anything that could sink, because it could clog up the filter system. And even for things that float, you really need to supervise, especially with little ones. Better safe than sorry.
Makes sense. Speaking of being prepared, let's talk about getting that hot tub prepped for the party. I mean, we all love a good last-minute scramble, but it sounds like that's not the way to go for hot tub prep.
Definitely not. They actually recommend starting a couple of days beforehand in the fact sheet. Might seem like overkill, but there's a reason.
Okay, you've got me curious. Why so early?
It goes back to that water chemistry balance we talked about. If you add chemicals at the last minute, they don't have enough time to mix properly and balance out.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make a gourmet meal in 5 minutes. Not going to be pretty.
So no rushing the hot tub chemistry. Got it. Now, what about showering beforehand? I always see that, but why is it so important?
It all comes down to those oils and lotions and perfumes we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want those messing up your water chemistry.
Right.
They can react with the chlorine or bromine in the hot tub and create that icky scum line
Oh, yeah.
that nobody wants.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. And it actually makes your sanitizer less effective too.
So it's like you're working against yourself, you're trying to clean it, and then you're messing it up at the same time.
Exactly. And think about it from your guest perspective, right? They're about to chill out in this nice, clean hot tub.
Yeah.
They don't want to be swimming in someone's, cloud of perfume.
Yeah, that's not the spa experience.
Not exactly what you're going for.
Not what you're going for, yeah. But how do you actually tell people to shower beforehand without sounding like, the party pooper?
Just be upfront about it. But frame it in a positive way, right?
Right.
Maybe say something like, hey, just to keep the hot tub nice and clean for everybody, please hop in the shower before you hop in the tub.
Right.
Most people are going to be cool with it.
Yeah. And if they need more convincing, just tell them a horror story about a hot tub party gone wrong.
That might do it. But let's move on to actually creating that party atmosphere. A hot tub party is more than just hot water, right? It's an experience.
For sure. The fact sheet had some fun suggestions on this. Themes, lighting, music. You can really transport people with a few little touches.
Right. It's all about creating the right ambiance.
Yeah.
Those little details, the music, the lighting, even what it smells like, they all work together to create a certain mood.
Like, if you're going for a relaxed vibe, you might pick soft lighting and some, like, ambient music. But if you want a more upbeat party atmosphere,
Then you crank up the tunes, string up some party lights,
yeah,
maybe even break out a disco ball.
I love it. Now, this may seem like a leap, but the fact sheet mentioned that hot tubs aren't just for summer, which got me thinking, how do you adapt to the experience for different seasons?
Ooh, now that's when things get interesting. Picture this. It's a crisp fall evening. Fire's going in the fireplace, leaves are falling, and you're in the hot tub with your friends, sipping hot apple cider.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
Right. Or imagine a snowy winter night.
Oh, I love where you're going with this.
Exactly. String lights, cozy blankets, maybe some carols playing softly
Hmm.
in the background. And don't forget that waterproof Bluetooth speaker for some mood music. The point is, it's not about the season. It's about creating an atmosphere, a feeling. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. What about a spooky Halloween hot tub party?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, we could do a whole other deep dive just on hot tub themes. But for now, let's tackle a question everybody has once the party's over.
Hmm.
What do you do with all that water?
That's a good question, and it's one that often gets overlooked. The fact sheet actually has some helpful tips on this. It's not as simple as just draining it, especially with the chemicals in there.
Right, right. Okay, so let's break it down. What's step one?
First, you've got to know what kind of sanitizer you're using, chlorine or bromine. Bromine's a bit easier on plants, while chlorine can be harsher.
So if you use chlorine, you can't just drain it onto the lawn.
Not so fast. High concentrations of chlorine can damage plants and grass. They actually suggest a simple trick in the fact sheet. Just turn off the hot tub after the party and let the water cool overnight. That way, the chlorine dissipates naturally, making it much safer to use for watering.
Good to know. So no need to call in a hazmat team after every party.
Exactly. But it's always a good idea to double-check local rules, as they can be different depending on where you live. And here's a bonus tip. Don't empty the water in the same spot each time. Spread it around your yard so you don't overwater one area.
Smart thinking. Now, I know we're really getting into this BSTO fact sheet, but I'm curious, are there other ways to keep that hot tub water clean? What about those UV systems I've heard about?
You're right, there are other ways to keep things clean, and UV systems are becoming more popular. They use ultraviolet light to get rid of bacteria and other stuff you don't want in the water.
Yeah.
It's a good option if you're trying to cut back on chemicals, and it works really well with other methods like ozone.
Ozone, that's another one I've heard of but don't really get. How does that work?
Ozone systems are great because ozone is a really strong oxidizer. It breaks down the organic stuff in the water, lotions, body oils, you name it. And that keeps the water clear and means you don't have to use as much sanitizer.
So it's like giving your hot tub a little extra cleaning power.
Exactly. It's like having a super-powered filter. And the best part about both UV and ozone is that they're way better for the environment than using chlorine or bromine.
That's good to know. So there are options out there. It's about finding what works for you and your hot tub. But before we wrap up, any hot tub myths you want to bust? You know, those things people swear by but are totally bogus.
Oh, absolutely. One I hear all the time is that you need to shock your hot tub with a ton of chlorine after every use.
Oh, yeah.
Not true at all.
Really?
It can actually cause more problems than it solves.
I've heard that too. I thought a little chlorine was a good thing.
To a point, yeah. But too much chlorine throws off that balance we talked about. It can irritate your skin and eyes and even damage the hot tub itself. Like over-fertilizing your lawn, too much of a good thing can backfire.
So how do you know when to shock it?
It depends. How often you use it, how many people are in there, what type of sanitizer you're using. But generally, once a week or after heavy use is a good rule of thumb. And always check your hot tub manual for specifics.
Makes sense. What about the idea that hot tubs are hard to maintain? Is it really a ton of work to keep them clean and ready for a party?
Honestly, it's not as bad as people think.
Mm.
Yeah, there's some upkeep, but it's more about being consistent than it being complicated.
Yeah.
Think of it like taking care of your car. You wouldn't drive it for months without an oil change or tire rotation.
Yay!
Right. Same idea.
It's about those regular checkups to prevent bigger problems down the line.
Exactly. With a hot tub, it's about having a routine, testing the water, adding chemicals when you need to, cleaning the filters, small things that save you major headaches later on.
It's like anything else. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And a little effort is worth it for the joy of chilling in your own hot tub, right?
Totally agree. It's an investment in your relaxation and well-being.
This whole deep dive has really got me thinking. We've gone over safety, setting the vibe, even debunking some myths about keeping your hot tub in tip-top shape. But it all comes back to something we haven't really touched on, the social part. A hot tub party is about so much more than just hot water. It's about connecting with friends and family, creating those memories, just enjoying each other's company.
Absolutely. It's all about that human connection. There's something about sharing that warm, bubbly space that gets people talking, laughing, feeling closer. It's like a mini vacation from everything, a chance to unwind, unplug, and really connect with each other.
Perfectly said. We've covered a ton today, but here's a little something to ponder as we wrap up. We've been talking about hot tubs, but the same principles apply to any gathering, hot tub or not. It's all about creating that welcoming atmosphere, putting in a little effort with the details. So even if you're fresh out of bath salts and inflatable flamingos, remember the most important part of any get together is the company you keep.